everyone, and welcome to Beyond Insights. My name is Jodie Lee Manuel, and I head up the education and implementation team at Sift Analytics. And I'm joined by Alex Hoffman, our engagement manager. And we have a very special guest who Alex is going. It's a gift as well. Your presence is a gift. So Alex will introduce our guest.
Thank you. So today we are joined by Pamela Phillips from the agency-focused accounting practice, Jong Phillips. And a bit more about Pamela. Pamela is the founder and managing director of Jong Phillips. They're an award-winning accounting practice, and they're leading the way in offering a full-service finance function to small businesses. So Pamela is actually joining us from Germany, very far away from where we are in our not so sunny right now, South Africa. Thank you so much for joining us today, Pamela.
It's a pleasure.
Awesome. So today we're going to be looking at accounting for creative agencies, which is obviously your focus, Pam. So I thought maybe we could start by you could give us a bit of a background about you and the work that you do and how you got into this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my career in audit, moved into investment banking, where I worked in a finance and planning team where we worked really closely with internal customers doing business partnering. So when I left banking, I wanted to move and work with small businesses, but doing the same sort of services. And at the time, so this would have been about, well, it was exactly 12 years ago, that just wasn't the done thing. Small businesses didn't have access to the finance support that big businesses did have. And I don't think there was so much of an appetite for that sort of service from small businesses because they didn't know what they were missing. They didn't see finance. They didn't appreciate what a strong finance team could do to help their business. So when I started working in practice with small businesses, we knew we had to leverage technology to deliver the services we wanted to do. So we wanted to be doing a full finance function service. So we needed to be in the cloud and using tech to enable us to deliver the services. And gradually over time, that tech's evolved, and it means that we can now do what we have always wanted to do. But back then it was less evolved, and I think the awareness in the market of what from business owners, but what they could be getting from the finance team wasn't where it is now. So now, 12 years on, tech's really caught up and means that everyone can, any accountant that wants to, can offer a full finance function to their clients. And I think our customer base, businesses, are crying out for more support from their accountants. So we're kind of what now the market and the tech has caught up to where we wanted it to be. So it's a really exciting actually time, and I think for accountants to be helping small businesses.
No, amazing. I definitely agree. I think when I also used to be in audit, and I used to audit big companies, and they had like this huge finance team. And when I joined Sift, I started to see that, small businesses, as you say, don't often either know or have access to all of those things that can really help you grow your business. And so it's so inspiring to see accountants like yourself, but also the tech enabling that like decision making, data-driven decisions, which can really grow your business. So yeah, very inspiring.
And maybe you can tell us a little bit about Jong Phillips and when you joined, and what your work is like there. So
Jong Phillips is we're a small practice that works just with marketing creative agencies. A variety of different types of agencies, so video production, PR, digital marketing agencies, and we only work with those agencies because we want to be specialists in our field, because we want to do the full finance function for those clients. We want to really, really know their pain points, their challenges, how their business operates, because then we can spend our time and energy learning how best to support them and learning the best tools to help them, the best, like what processes they should have built into their business, what risks they should be aware of. So we quite quickly decided to focus on a specific niche. And we also were very forward in using tech. So like I said, 12 years ago, we were already working in the cloud, or as best we could back then. So when I left banking, I actually started to work with my father, who had his own practice. He'd been in practice since I was like a teenager. And everyone thinks that I was the one that brought tech to the practice. So I came in and brought it up into the modern age. That's not true at all. He was always really, really tech focused. So way before I think most people could understand, most accountants could understand how tech was going to enable them to deliver their service. He already had, he was already raving about the cloud, why it was a good thing to have, even back then, basic general ledger in the cloud, because then you wouldn't have version control. You wouldn't be sending files back and forth to clients. You could both be working on data at the same time. And he could see how that would open up so many opportunities. And he had to kind of train me in that. So I got on board and could see how that would help us do what I wanted the business to do. So he's retired now. He retired quite a few years ago, and I run the business. And I've got a team. I want to say 10, but we're hiring at the moment, so we're 10 or thereabouts. Our clients are all UK based. We haven't got loads of clients because we do so much for the clients we do have. So I think we've got about 60 clients, and we do a lot for each of those clients.
Amazing. That's still quite a big practice, 60 clients. Yeah. Lots of work for full finance function.
And I guess working with these creative agencies, what are some of the common challenges that you've noticed that they face?
Yeah, so there's so many challenges. I mean, some will be generic to all businesses, and then they've got some specific ones to them. But I'd say the common, bigger, overarching challenges they have, like lots of businesses, are cash flow. So typically agencies will have quite spiky revenues. They'll do, whilst they strive to build retainer income, they also naturally have lots of project work. And that project work can be really chunky, and it can mean managing their cash flow and their profits can be more involved because they have peaks and troughs that need to be carefully worked through. Other challenges, they are in many ways very similar to accounting firms. They're delivering their services and their skills, and they're doing it in a similar way. They're using tech, they're often working remotely. They're trying to manage time and make sure that they're earning good profits for the time, but for their costs, and their costs are typically people costs. So managing that, managing scope creep, managing making sure they're making the right margins on projects are, again, similar to accounting, really. They're sort of the bigger challenges they face. In the current market, there's a lot of pressure from their clients to cut their price, to reduce their margins. And it's taking, right now, the last few years, there's been a bit of a trend for their clients to want to minimize retainer income, and to also, it's taken longer for them to sort of sign up clients. So the pipeline, from an inquiry through to actually signing up and getting on with the work is taking longer. So again, that obviously has cash flow impacts, and they have to manage that and do a lot more planning and thinking around their costs to make sure they can ride out that gap. So they're the broader ones. And then they've got specific challenges around how do they manage their billable time, and how do they, a really common one is around media spend. Quite often digital marketing agencies will be managing media budgets for their clients, and that means quite big chunks of money flowing through their business. So they want to manage that to make sure that they are not overspending the client's money, underspending it, not spending money and not recovering it from their clients. So I think that's probably a quick sort of summary of the common things that we see with our clients. But actually a broader one, and this is definitely common to all businesses, is even just having a good handle on the numbers. Most companies that come to us, that start working with us, their numbers are not in a good shape. Not necessarily they're not profitable, but they just don't even know what the numbers are because they haven't got up-to-date accounting. They haven't got accurate accounting. They've not got visibility over the numbers. And if they have got visibility of the numbers, they don't understand the numbers. So even just that basic level of understanding what their profit and loss is showing them, what it means, what they can do to change it, that's missing. And that's not specific to agencies. No. I think that's quite a common challenge.
No, and I think that's especially in often small businesses as well, because they're so busy running their business that they don't necessarily have that accounting expertise, or they don't value spending time on recording the transactions because they're like, oh, this is just compliance, But actually, as you're saying, if you don't have good numbers, how can you make good decisions? You might think that this one client is actually giving you the most money, but your costs are so high for them, or they're taking too long to pay. There's so many factors that you could kind of be running super fast in the wrong direction and end up messing up your business. So very important there.
Yeah. And I do find as well, working with them, that when we take on a client, we sort of get to get the numbers clean and start working with them on the numbers and on understanding what it's telling them and what they can do to improve them, there's almost an alignment of their reality and the numbers. So before the numbers are good, they can be confused, like we're working harder than ever, we're winning lots of business, like we've got loads of sales, I don't understand why we're not making profits. Or it might be the other way around, like the profit and loss is kind of saying we've got lots of profit but we haven't got any money in the bank. So something doesn't align, and when the numbers are up to date and accurate and meaningful, then they actually can connect to the numbers, and it explains to them why their business feels the way it does to them.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Answer the question I was going.
Okay.
Yeah, ahead of the game then in cloud technology and in answering questions.
I was wondering, what are some of the kind of common mistakes that you've seen your clients make?
Yeah, I mean, the first one is not having a good handle on the numbers. And I think that comes from usually not investing enough in the finance function. So seeing it as a compliance, seeing it as something they have to do, and not appreciating how a good, strong finance function can help their business be more profitable, help it grow, and give them peace of mind. So that underinvestment in the finance function. Also, and I think this is unfortunate for some businesses, is they do invest in the finance function and they still don't get the service. So I think it is difficult as a business owner who's not an accountant, hasn't seen how it could be, for them to know, well, actually, it could be better. So I think I would say shopping around, and if you're not happy, nowadays it's really easy to change accountants. Before cloud accounting, it was a bigger job and it would stop people moving, but actually now it's not that hard. It's not hard at all to change accountants. So give your accountant a chance, speak to them regularly, and if it's not working, try another one and keep trying until you find one that works for you. So I think that's one of the big, like the key thing is the numbers, not investing enough in your finance function and working with the right partner. The next biggest challenge, I think, not having built-in resilience into your business. So I think when things are going okay, not setting enough aside for when things might not be going okay. So taking it out, taking it all out as dividends, spending on fancy offices when it's really good, but forgetting to put a bit aside for when inevitably, because all businesses go through no business is a straight line upward trajectory. There will be ups and downs. So having some built-in resilience to know those, you'll go through times when it'll be a bit tougher. So I think, not building in that resilience is a common mistake. I think they're probably the top few.
Yeah, I think that second one makes a lot of sense, especially as you said, there's like spikes, especially with agencies. So they probably don't have, as consistent revenue. But I think every business, even if you have a big client that's been there for years, that client can not, be there anymore. So even if you think you have consistency, that's important. And then the first thing I think the point is, I think some people just see accountants as compliance. So if they're not getting value from their accountant, they don't think anything's wrong. But as you've just said, is you should really be getting like value and growth and insights from your accountant. So if you're not doing that, then I think maybe ask a little bit more of them, probably.
Yeah, and ask more, not just so I think some business owners or some accountants think giving more is just giving them a bit of tax advice, but it's not. It's actually, you can help a business make much better decisions. So asking, for that, and communicating, actually being really open with your accountant, see them as a partner, because the earlier you communicate your thinking around something or your concerns, the sooner they can step up in and give their angle on it, which will be a different angle to the business owners. So I think, loads of communication, being really open, and not just open about your numbers, but open about what you want from your business and what you want personally, so that you can all be joined up. I think that's really important. And I think you actually just mentioned another challenge, which I'd totally forgotten about, but another challenge quite specific, I think, to agencies is key customer dependency. So you mentioned, you can have a really big customer, long-term customer, and that's actually really common in agencies, is to have not lots of customers, but to have, 5 to 10 really big customers, like really big famous names, and there can be like too much reliance on particular customers, and then if they go bust, which does happen, or if they just, their marketing manager changes and moves to another business, and then suddenly your contact and your way into their business is gone. And we've seen that where agencies have been doing really well, growing year on year, but it's all been down to one client, and then that client goes, and suddenly they're in trouble. So pushing hard to not be reliant on a handful of customers is really important.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely. And having a kind of backup plan in case that customer does stop being a customer.
Yeah, exactly. Thinking through the worst case. If this customer went, like hopefully it won't, but if it does, what would I do? And we do encourage our clients to do that, because you better think about that ahead of time rather than in the moment. At least right, okay, the worst has happened and I need to do X, Y, and Z, and you're prepared for it.
Well, 100%. I think that's everything in life. Yes. You don't want to be too negative, but you also need to think about, what would happen if this thing, and then you're prepared. It's less of a trauma.
Yeah, exactly. Then you can move on and carry on. But exactly. You just got that. You just know that's covered if the worst happens.
Exactly.
So what do you think are some of the key metrics that agencies should really be focusing on and looking at with their accountants?
So I think there's some really generic ones that, again, are relevant to all businesses. So really, really key ones that I think most accountants will already be aware of and talking to their clients about would be gross profit margin, net profit margin, really important. Net assets, like what of the business. It's surprising how many businesses bob around the nil net assets number, but depend on having assets to give dividends. So keeping those key metrics is really important. Debtor days, particularly in agencies where they're doing project work and then they send out a big invoice and it might take months and months. Again, with agencies, quite often they're working for really big, well-known companies who have a lot of purchasing power, so have quite a lot of sway in pushing out payment terms to being 30, 60, 90 days. So big debtor days can be a big challenge. So monitoring debtor days, monitoring current ratio to make sure they're solvent and they've got enough cash and current assets to cover their current liabilities. They're all really important metrics. And then on top of that, as well as I'd say they're probably the big financial ones, the ones that kind of come up a lot, as well as those other ones specific to agencies would be looking at billable time, like what proportion of their time is chargeable to their client. Looking at profit margin by project, so actually digging down not just into your overall profit margins, but understanding how profitable is each project or each revenue stream. Quite often agencies will have multiple revenue streams, and some will be a lot more profitable than others. Cash cover, like how many months will the cash in your bank last? Again, like because they've got spiky income, having a good buffer of like 4 to 6 months worth of cash in the bank is always good. So monitoring that is I'd be recommending. They're the ones that come top of my head. The other things are like revenue per head revenue per head's a good metric as well for them to keep an eye on.
I think it's cool. There's a mixture of like non-financial aspects in there as well, because I think often people think accounting's just finance, and it is, but there's a lot of non-financial things that actually happen in your business that operationally decide your profitability. So really cool to see those ones coming in.
It's all linked, isn't it? Like your numbers reflect your business, so it's all linked.
Agreed.
And I know on your website you talk about helping agencies to thrive and to scale. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about, if an agency is wanting to scale, what kind of decisions do they have to consider, and how do you work through that with them?
Yeah, so I suppose there's a few different angles, because we position ourselves as their in-house finance team. So a finance team will be covering a whole range of things, from their day-to-day operations through to strategic planning and budgeting and forecasting and securing finance. So there's a whole range of things your finance team will be helping with. And if a business is wanting to scale, so if someone we're working with is looking to scale, we'd be looking across all of those things. So we'd be working with them on what's their overall strategy, where do they want to get to, like what's their big plan for their business and also personally. So are they wanting to exit it? When do they want to exit it by? What number they're aiming for? And then how's our business going to deliver that? Like, what's the business's vision and mission and goals? And what do they need to do to hit those? So there'd be the strategic side of that, which is an annual thing, but it's really an ongoing thing. Then we would be looking at just the day-to-day operations. How can they build their finance function in a way that it's scalable? So often, like, in fact, all businesses, they start and they grow and they grow, and then something starts creaking and then they fix it, and then something else starts creaking and then they fix it. And the longer the further down the growth journey you are, the harder it is to fix, because you're in a machine that's working and it's moving, and trying to slot in a new system or a new process to a really big machine is inevitably harder than doing it earlier. So we always encourage businesses to think sort of early on, to get the core systems in place and think through the core processes so that that's working and can scale with them. So yeah, as they scale, depending on where a client joins us, we'd be looking at like assessing their finance function across a whole different range of areas, and then building out a plan. And it's like, it can be a 12-month, 24-month, sometimes longer plan of like, how can we get everything working as it should so that they can get their business where they want it to get to. So yeah, it might be like just building new processes, introducing tech, making sure the right people are doing the right jobs, making sure there's clarity on like whose role, like role profile clarity, making sure there's controls and checks in place, getting all the foundations of the function in place. Then layered onto that, there's insights and decision making. So you've got the strategy, you've got the operations, and then in between that, joining it all together, you've got the feedback loop. So the regular touch points with looking at the numbers and analysing the numbers and talking with the business owner about what levers can they pull to make a difference to their business. So that would be the monthly management accounts and monthly review meetings, and monthly cash flow meetings, to make sure everything is heading in the right direction, that they're aware of any issues on the horizon as soon as possible, so they can take steps as soon as possible to swerve them or navigate them or take advantage of opportunities as they come up. So I think that's the main things. And then again, financing is one. Often when businesses are growing, when agencies are growing, there's things that they'll want to do, which means they need financing, whether it's to buy property or invest in and growing a certain team. They might want to get financing, so it's helping them secure that. And sometimes they want to secure external investment that's not debt. They might want to get an equity investor in who's got experience in their field, so helping them get ready so in the best possible position to have those negotiations and those conversations, and even actually introducing them. We now work with partners that can help connect them with investors.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, definitely a full finance function.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of what you're saying is really about like being proactive as a business, always thinking about the future and then checking in regularly to see if you need to change these plans.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's so important, because the world is changing, their business is changing, there's stuff coming, this change all the time. And I think that regular checking in with how are things looking today, how do things look, and forecasting, like where do you think you're going to end up at the end of this year, and updating that regularly as well. So you've just got the armed with the most up-to-date useful information to help them make decisions. Because as accountants, we can see things that we've had training and experience to see things that maybe a business owner wouldn't see. Like, we know if a business has running out of cash, got a huge debtor balance, we can see that they need to tap into that debtor balance, and that will improve their cash balance. And we also know the tools, and the strategies that they can implement to get that cash out of the debtors and into their bank. And we think that's really we think that's obvious and common sense, but it's actually not. It's obvious to us because we've learned it and we've done it and we've had training in it.
No, for sure. We mustn't take it for granted as accountants.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, what is your favorite thing about working with creative agencies?
One thing I really like, I like the there's quite a lot I like. One is actually the creative agencies are really similar to accountancy practices. So from a personal point of view, I can relate a lot. The challenges they face are very similar to the challenges we face. The way we're set up, particularly our practice, but a lot of accounting practices are set up in a similar way to an agency. So it's very easy. You can relate, and so you feel their pain and you can also see the opportunities. So I really like that. I also like the energy that creative agencies bring. They're by nature, they're creative. They're at the forefront of a lot of things. They embrace technology. You don't have to drag them kicking and screaming to tech. They're coming to you going, I've heard about this tool. I want to use this, or we've already rolled out that. So they're on the same page as us. They want to leverage tech. They're front of the curve for most things, like remote working. They fit really well with us. So I think we're aligned in that way. And so I can learn lots. I love learning from them as well. As much as we can help agencies with their finances, we can learn so much for them. So it's a really rewarding relationship working with agencies.
Amazing.
I'm wondering if there's anything in particular you think listeners should take away from this podcast, whether they're in creative agencies or they're accountants considering working with creative agencies?
Well, I suppose one message to both groups would be work closely together. So if you're an owner of a creative agency, speak to your accountant and share and be open with them about what you want. When new clients come to us, we always ask, how's your current finance function working? Is it doing what you need? What more do you want? And the pretty much consistent answer is they're doing fine on the numbers. Yeah, they do the accounts, they do the tax, and that's all fine. And I like them as people, but we just want more. They want more proactive support. They want help making decisions, and they want insights. They don't know what those insights are, but of course they don't, because that's why they want to work with an accountant who's being proactive and coming to them. So it's a two-way thing. I think accountants reach out to your clients and tell them what you can do for them and make suggestions. It's like what you can do, what more you can do to help them. And as business owners, reach out to your accountant and ask them to help you with certain things. And then I suppose specifically for accountants, I feel like we're quite far down the line. We can now do a full finance function, but we didn't start that way. We started with the intention of doing that, but it's been step by step, and it's taken years to get to the point where we now are a fully rounded finance function, but we did it step by step. And I would say once you've got the core stuff sorted, like get your clients all on the cloud and you're using tools like Dex, then the next step has to be management accounts, because that's where you can start having these conversations regularly. And those conversations are the key to everything else, because when you're having monthly conversations with your clients or quarterly about their challenges, that's when you can tap into, well, how can I help you solve that challenge? And then that can be the next thing that you develop in your service.
Amazing.
Sure, if you had any more.
No, I think also just to maybe kind of round it back to the beginning. So you niche creative accounting, and I just wanted to, I think also another thing for accountants is I think often we are scared to limit ourselves, even choosing a business career. I don't want to do something that there's only a few people, but often, becoming really good at what you do is actually much more valuable. And I really like what you said, you didn't want to become master, or good at everything but master. There we go. None, yeah. But rather to actually be an expert in what you're doing. So I thought that was something else to take out, from accountants. Perhaps maybe look into what's your favorite field and service that better as well.
100%. I'm a total advocate of niching. I think become an expert and have businesses come to you because you're an expert. And I think you can only become a real expert if you pick a section of people you want to work with. So you have to find something in that sector that you enjoy, that you can resonate with, and also it has to be a profitable sector, a sector and a sustainable one that's going to be around for the future. But I think I really, niching has been fantastic for us, and it's something I'd recommend to any practice.
No, amazing. But I think I've definitely learned a lot from this. And if I was a creative agency, I would definitely go out and get a good accountant. And as an accountant, I learned a lot. But I think it's just the importance of being proactive, understanding your data-driven decisions. I mean, that's all what we always talk about as well. So really making those numbers work for you to grow your business. That's what I got from today. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pamela.
Thank you.
Cool. And thank you everyone who joined us for this podcast.
And we'll see you next week. So until then, goodbye. Thanks for tuning in to the Beyond Insights podcast.
Please like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to right now.
And please share with any of your colleagues or friends or family members that you think might benefit from listening to this podcast.
That's all from us. Until next time, see you then.